Alright, so welcome back to part two of this series. And then in the first tutorial of this project, we set up our planes and our blueprints. I hope you found the blueprints in the description and you enjoyed it. So let's start by creating a first surface, and the first surface is going to be this bonnet section here. And we're gonna come with this line all the way to here, to the middle, and then we're going to come uh, up to this section here. All right, I'm gonna come up to this section, and then we're just gonna come follow this line down to this area here. All right, so let's start by making a sketch on this top plane here, and then we're going to draw the first curvature somewhere here, and then that's where the corner ends, and we're gonna come somewhere about this point. Okay, and we're just going to add a few spline points on that, but first let me pull this just into up to here, and let's add a few spline points. Add one here and here, and exit out of that command. And then I just click back on the line, and let's add our control polygons on there so we can get these handlebars. All right, so let's pull this line into position. Something like that. Okay, that's going to look good for us. And then pull this to about here. And we have a handlebar here, which you can work with a little bit. Now let's get back on the handlebar here. And just pull this. So since we have a good blueprint, I'm planning to do this design flawlessly, hopefully, and then we're not gonna have any issues. All right, so pull the elbow there. All right, so that looks good. Okay, so exit the sketch. All right, and then before we do the second spline, we're going to make a sketch on this plane, and then we're going to add a center construction line starting from this point, just to make sure that we are on target, and we already are. We'll keep this straight. Okay, and then because the starting point here is going to be lower, we want to find that point where we're starting that from. So we're going to make a sketch, starting from somewhere about halfway down here, not all the way down, but halfway, and then right. So let's find that point first. So exit this sketch here, and let's try to find that point, the starting point of that. So the starting point of that is almost at the same level as this here. So let's grab a center line. Here. And then I'm pretty sure that will create that will give us that point where we need to draw that line. So exit this sketch here, and let's grab a 3D sketch. Center line, 3D sketch, and we want to be on the Y and X. Y and X, and we are. And hopefully that will now give us that point that we are looking for. All right, so that's the line, the straight up where that edge starts, which it is, and then it's going to fall lower than this section, which it is this point here. So that will give us a good indication that it's starting from about here and then goes all the way half point to this section here. All right, so let's exit that 3D sketch and let's make our second spline on the front plane. And then let's grab that spline, and we're gonna start from the halfway point from about here. Okay, and going to come all the way up to this cross section. And then now we're just going to bring that up. So they were relatively straight around this section here. So basically it does fall below that tire here. Okay, so let's try that. So let's grab that projection curve, make it from this line and this line. Okay, and let's double check if our spline are correct from the side. And then let's check from the top. We are on target from the top, and let's check from the front. And then basically we are halfway point with this line. And of course this line is hiding behind this surface area here, so we should be good. So basically we want to be closer to this line here, and we are not. So let's see if we can manipulate the one of the spline here to create that. And the one that we need to manipulate is I believe it's this one. So let's edit that sketch. Pull it up to here and exit. And let's have a look at now. And yeah, we are getting a lot closer we are getting a lot closer what we want. We just need to add a spline point here to bring that up a little bit. Edit that sketch. So we can add a spline point here. And go back on that line and add our control polygon. And just pull this up out here. And let's have a look now. Okay, so we're almost there. Almost there. We just need to bring this down a little bit. And that looks to be on point. We can come from this section here. We just need to maybe edit a little bit on this one. Let's just bring that point somewhere about here. And let's have a look. And that's actually what we are looking for. So we are on point now on that curvature. Okay, so that curves all the way back around there. So let's just double check from the top. And we're still looking good from the top. Okay. All right, so let's jump over and then have a look at our curvature in the second display state. Looks to be pretty straight. So let's come back in here. And now we have to create our second curvature, which is going to be the center of the bonnet. But before we do that, sketch on that. And then before we can do that, we need to determine the edge of the windshield. So let's exit this sketch here, and we're gonna make a sketch on the top plane. And let's grab a curve, and then we're gonna start from this point, and we're gonna come all the way to this edge here. All right, so that looks good. Right, so that will give us the starting point of that. And we want to make sure that this one is a construction line actually, which it is now. And then we're gonna exit the sketch, and then we're gonna make a sketch on the front plane. Now that we have the point to go from, we know that this is going to be our starting point of the windshield. Okay. So that's the starting point of the windshield, and then we know already that this curvature here let's have a look. Right. So that's the starting point of our windshield, and then of course we want to be higher than this curvature here, so it will create a little bit of curvature for us. So we're gonna go with that. We're gonna be higher than this spline, a little bit higher, and that will determine the start of our windshield. All right. So just for reference, let's grab a spline here quickly, and then let's make a sketch from this point to this point here. And obviously that will be our windshield, so we are quite accurate on that. Let's delete this curve, right? It's gonna come from halfway, right? So or maybe we're gonna go, yeah, about halfway, right? So let's grab that spline, and we're gonna go with that spline. We're gonna start from this point up to this point here, a little bit higher than halfway there, so that will give us a curvature on that bonnet, right? And then we just want to be setting up this curvature here. Go straight here. And that looks promising. Okay, now exit the sketch, and let's jump over to our second display state. All right, and then let's just hide some of these lines here that we don't need. Okay, so we're gonna start adding our 3D spline first to here. And if you notice, I haven't snapped to the edge, because I will pull it all the way to the end of that. And if we jump to the front here and click on that line, and we're going to add a relation fix along the z-axis here, and that created our perfect curvature for us here. However, we can add a little bit more on this side here, just a tiny bit more, so that will curve down that way to the rest of that shape. Okay, and then exit this sketch. We can also later adjust that curvature here if we need to. So let's add our second 3D sketch, 3D spline, and then go from that point up to this line here. I'm just gonna pull it all the way to the end. Let's just double check if we are coincident there, which we are. All right, and then now we're just gonna go back to our first display state here and jump to the top. And we're going to align this sketch with the body here. So we can introduce a relation, maybe after. So let's just double check from the front first that we have all the curvature that we need. So we can try pull this up in this area here so that we don't fall below this curvature. Let's have a look at curvature from the side. Right, so let's create this surface and see what we get. And if you're not happy with it, we can just change it. So the surface is flat surface. It's already creating something for us here, so let's have a look at that surface. Very sharp edge right here. Have a little bit of curvature on that bonnet. And let's bring back our first display state here. Okay, so we're going to trim back a little bit here, obviously, to get to keep that shape here, which we will. And it looks good from the top as well. So let's double check that surface. So so the surface looks to be good. However, no, that surface is good. So let's do a mirror front plane. Now mirror first this section. We want the mirror through here, and then bodies to mirror is this one here. Second display state. Okay, so it curves in nice and relatively straight here. And we're straight along here. All right, but there's a center cut, center surface throughout this car here, which we will create. So let's hide this line from here, and make sure you hide everything from this section here. Obviously, we will cut out for the center section. So let's make a cut on that center. Something like that. And then surfaces, trim surface. We're going to trim out the inner sections and just the boundary surface, these two together. Of course, I want to add a tangency to face on both sides. Tangency to face. Press OK. And now we are transitioning very nicely throughout. Of course, we need to cut a center out because this car has a center cut all the way through by design. All right, so this surface is not finished yet. We still need to cut out some of the vents here. So let's jump over to our first display state and make a sketch on this top plane. Let's flip that over. And we're gonna start by a spline from this section here all the way out here. And let's just align this spline here about there. And then add another spline from here to here. And another one from here out here. Let's add a fillet in this corner. And let's just Control Z to get that back to the origin. And that looks okay. All right, so let's make that cut. So flip that over. Surfaces, trim surface, let's cut this out. Okay. Trim surface, trim tool, and remove selection. Right. So I want to cut half of this off actually. So now, and the surfaces, trim. So select the sketch that we just made. Let's try to mirror that. Try and mirror that sketch that we just made here. Show lead sketch, center line, and mirror entities. All right. Spline 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and mirror about this area here. Okay. Exit the sketch. It's gonna go to surfaces, trim surface, select trim tool, and remove this side as well. Okay, now we can hide this sketch. Okay, hide some of these as well. Hide this one as well. Maybe hide this one as well. And hide some of these as well. Construction lines. We can delete construction lines as well. So okay, So that's going to be our first surface on the Bugatti Bolide. And then in the next tutorial, we create the rest of the surfaces in the front here. All right, so if you're just tuning into my channel, don't forget to subscribe, and then yeah, follow my channel, and then follow my tutorial videos, and then you will definitely learn something. All right, thanks very much. See you in the next one.